This episode is made possible by our sponsor, Omega Bright Wellness. I've taken their omega-3 supplements for many years, and so has my wife, and that's why I invited them to sponsor my podcast. I'm proud to have them. You can find all of their products online at omegabrightwellness.com, and bright is intentionally misspelled B-R-I-T-E, omegabrightwellness.com. This episode is also sponsored by Landmark College, offering bachelor's and associate programs, short-term and summer programs for students who learn differently. Learn more at lcdistraction.org. Landmark College, the college of choice for students who learn differently. Hello and welcome to Distraction. I'm your host, Dr. Ned Hallowell, and it's really nice to have you with us. Today I want to highlight some people who have the condition that is misleadingly called ADHD, Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. It's misleading because we do not have a deficit. I have it myself. We don't have a deficit of attention. We have an abundance of attention. Our challenge is to control it. And I don't see it as a disorder. I see it as a trait. Can it be a disorder? Yes. If you don't know how to manage it, it absolutely can ruin your life. But if you do know how to manage it, as the three people we're going to highlight today have learned how to do, then it becomes like a superpower. And that's good news, and it's also true. So let's pick a few and talk about them. Simone Biles is a 24-year-old diagnosed with ADHD as a child. She's the most decorated American gymnast ever. She won 4 Olympic gold medals in the 2016 Olympics in Rio. She's won 19 World Championship gold medals and 6-time U.S. all-around champ. That's, about as good as it gets. In 2016, after hackers published her confidential medical records and it was revealed that she has ADHD and takes medication for it, she decided not to be ashamed, but rather to be proud. And for that, I couldn't commend her more highly. This is not a condition to apologize for. I wouldn't trade my ADHD and dyslexia for the world. And I look forward to the day when people can feel proud of the brain they've got. No brain is the same, no brain is the best. Each brain finds its own special way, and those are good words to live by. Biles showed the world that she's not ashamed of her ADHD by tweeting about it. Here's a tweet from her. She tweeted Simone, "I have ADHD and I have taken medication for it since I was a kid. Please know I believe in clean sport, have always followed the rules, and will continue to do so, as fair play is critical to sport and is very important to me." And then again she tweeted, "Having ADHD and taking medicine for it is nothing to be ashamed of, nothing that I'm afraid to let people know." And that's just wonderful. When someone of her stature and level of accomplishment is so open, it just helps the entire world of people who have this fascinating condition. Let me move on to the next person. Howie Mandel, one of my favorite people. Whenever I see him, I just crack up. He's a comedian, an actor, an America's Got Talent judge. He was diagnosed with OCD and ADHD as an adult, but says he doesn't remember a time when he didn't have those conditions. In an article Howie wrote for Attitude magazine, he said, "The thing about mental health is that there isn't one answer for everyone. Everybody has his own brain and body chemistry, and what works for me may not work for you. Managing symptoms is a lifetime commitment. Certain treatments that worked for me a few years back don't work now. You have to be willing to experiment. If one thing doesn't work, another will. There are alternatives and there are answers." He continued, "Adults should know that it's never too late to seek help for ADHD. I hope that sharing my story encourages people to get that help. I didn't let ADHD prevent me from achieving my goals, and neither should you. And that is just so true and so wonderful. It's this condition, as we're spreading the word and trying to help people realize that there are ways to turn it into an advantage, not just to fit into the crowd, but to stake your own path in life where you can be wonderfully different, jubilantly different, successfully different. That's the goal for all of us. And as one person stands out who's got ADHD, then another stands out, and another, and another. And by the time I die, my goal is that I want people to wish they had this condition. There are many other ways to become successful and develop yourself, but having ADHD need not hold you back. Quite the opposite. It can propel you to the very heights if you simply learn what it takes to do that. Thank you, Howie Mandel. Now, let me turn my attention to Lisa Ling, a journalist, television personality, and author. She, in fact, was a guest here on Distraction, talking about her ADHD in 2017. Here's what she recommended for anyone who thinks they might have ADHD.
My recommendation to young people and adults is that if they've ever suspected it about themselves, make sure you go to a doctor who really knows how to deal with ADD and ADHD. You know, you can't just go to your pediatrician or to your GP. Like, you have to go to someone who specializes in this, because that's the only way that you can figure out the proper way to deal and treat what you're experiencing.
I also think it's important to see someone who sees the positives that go with it, that this is not a disorder, it's a trait. And if you manage it right, it's an asset, like you've done.
Yeah, and not to just shove a pill down your throat.
Right.
Because I think that can potentially be dangerous if you don't take the right medication, and you may, as an adult, have been able to figure out how to manage it.
Mm-hmm. So true.
That's from 2017. I think my voice sounds pretty much the same. Lisa sounds wonderful, and she continues to do great work, continues to thrive and cut new ground, as people with ADHD tend to do. Three pretty good people I could have picked from many, many thousands who have succeeded at the highest levels, who have this condition. But we chose to drill down on Simone Biles and Howie Mandel and Lisa Ling, and thanks to all of them. Okay, well, that's our podcast for today, and I'd like to thank our wonderful sponsor, Omega Bright Wellness. You can save 20% on your first order with the promo code DISTRACTION at OmegaBrightWellness.com. That's Bright spelled B-R-I-T-E, OmegaBrightWellness.com. Please continue to reach out to us with your questions, comments, and show ideas by emailing connect@distractionpodcast.com. That's connect@distractionpodcast.com. Distraction is created by Soundscrape Media. Our producer is the delightful Sarah Guertin, and our recording engineer and editor is the brilliantly talented Scott Persson. I'm Dr. Ned Hallowell, and truly I thank you so much for listening. The episode you just heard was made possible by my good friends at Omega Bright Wellness. I take their supplements every day, and that's why I invited them to sponsor my podcast. Shop online at Omega Bright, and that's BRITE wellness.com.